God. Going too fast. I'm taking 3.
I'm going for the St. Louis now.
Oh, no.
Son of a bitch.
You get your 2?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we are going to take a look at a replay in the Scharnhorst. Yes, it has been a while since we've taken a look at the old Scharnhorst, and of course, the Scharnhorst is still rocking out real good. Really loving the Scharnhorst. She's a great premium at tier 7. Definitely worth the money. I can't quite recall how much it was, but it was definitely worth it. Anyway, you can see as well that we are on Estuary, one of my more favorite maps that they've added recently. Estuary's been out a while. It's undergone some changes as well. If you recall, when it first came out, there was actually some waterfalls throughout the map, and I don't believe that those waterfalls are in the game anymore. Oh, and something else that's new, of course, that they added for Halloween is the Transylvania game mode. I've played a few matches of that. That is quite interesting, quite fun as well. I really do enjoy like the skins of the ships. It is pretty great. I have one of those recorded, but yeah, it was an interesting battle enough. We might take a look at it later, but. Not in today's video anyway. Wanted to take a look at the Scharnhorst. But unfortunately though, I noticed with the addition of the Halloween port, which also looks very cool, I do find the port though now to be incredibly laggy. It's pretty bad. And I'm finding again that the game overall, ships overall, as much as I really enjoy the game, I just find it's becoming less and less optimized, and it's just having more and more issues. it's getting a little annoying. So Wargaming hopefully will do something about that shortly, just to bring back optimization into the game, because that's pretty damn important. Anyway, we're going to head over here to the east side of the map, see what we find, see what enemy ships start popping up, and of course Estuary is a relatively small map, well, medium size. It's not the largest map, obviously, but, things will start popping up fairly quickly, and you're going to have shots on the things that start popping up, especially on the flanks of the map, right? The sides of the map there that are outside of the islands and concentrated in the center. Usually you're going to get some pretty good shots on these people as they start popping up. So we see our first customer. It is a British cruiser, I believe. Oh, I did actually purchase the Leander, the tier 6 British cruiser, so I've got that ship now. We'll take a look at that as well in the next upcoming videos. Anyway, there we go. One of my allies manages to torpedo the British cruiser. British cruiser is gone, and our team gets its first kill. Fantastic. We see an enemy battleship there off in the distance. Obviously, because I'm in the Scharnhorst, I am firing my high explosive. I know it's mean and very douchebaggy, but it is real fun. Real fun to do. I mean, it's the rate of fire that the Scharnhorst has. It's just so amazing. The armor-piercing rounds, you're really not going to get much performance out of them at extreme ranges against, heavily armored targets like battleships and even some higher tier cruisers. It's just not going to work very well. So your best bet is to fire your high explosive. You have a better chance of you have a chance of setting fire, and you'll do more damage than you would had you had the armor piercing loaded up. Now, as targets get closer in, armor piercing does become a very viable and very potent option for you to use, but definitely long to mid range, yeah, your high explosive is where it's at. And of course, I do run my Hindenburg captain in the Scharnhorst as well, so I do have demolition expert on this as well, which is always great. I'm sure people like this enemy for a talk out there. I'm sure this player really does appreciate it. Of course, I haven't set any fires to this player, but as the battle progresses. Because it's still the really early opening stages here of the battle, which is always important to keep in mind, right? You don't want to push forward too quickly and just die like the enemy cruiser did, and it looks like a few of my ships have done as well. You don't want to push forward too quickly and die like that, but you do want to gauge where the enemy is going and maybe find some weak spots. So we do see an enemy guys now, I believe that I fired at. put a few rounds into that player, but we do need to switch over here to the west side of the map because we have some enemies that are putting some pressure on our base. So we're going to have to do something about these guys. Managed to set a fire to that enemy battleship, so that's not too bad, but we do have this enemy Atlanta here in front of us. Now, I do sort of drop the ball because you can see I'm switching over to my armor piercing at this point in time, which is exactly what I wanted to do, clear the barrels of the high explosive, switch over to the armor piercing, but you can see I'm switching in between torpedoes and all this stuff, and then yeah, I go back and I switch one, and I lose what I had reloaded in armor piercing, and yeah. We're loading up the high explosive, which is all fine and good, but the Atlanta has grounded himself, and this would be an ideal time to, you know, just pump shots into the player and maybe even get the kill, but gonna have to wait for the high explosive. So high explosive loads, we get our shots out into the Atlanta. There we go, we get the kill, fantastic. Do a bit of damage, and we ground ourselves immediately, yes. This island just came out of nowhere. No idea where this island came from, but popped out of nowhere, and here it is in front of us. So now we're going to have to reverse it and get ourselves out of this whole situation. So you can see that we do have equal amount of ships remaining. Both teams have lost 3 ships, so it's still pretty close. Still pretty close. We see an enemy. What is this? Enemy Nagato there off in the distance, and luckily I'm reversing far enough away from the island in front of me that I'm actually able to shoot over the island without having to worry from too many incoming shots from the Nagato. Because that's, you know, one thing you do want to note about the Scharnhorst is the Scharnhorst has decent armor. She doesn't have amazing armor. It's not really that great, but it's decent. Now, if the Nagato, for example, decides to focus me down or catches me in a broadside or anything like that, the Nagato is going to do a crap ton of damage to a Scharnhorst. Same thing with the Geisnau, except the Geisnau does seem to have a little stronger armor. Better opportunities to bounce shots at relatively steep angles, I suppose, but still, this Nagato, you know, with the guns that the Nagato has, can really do a number to the Scharnhorst. The Scharnhorst and Geisnau aren't really that well armored, decently armored, I'd say. Now, compared against the other battleships at tier 7, well, it's probably pretty good. I mean, the Nagato doesn't seem to have great armor either, and frankly, I've heard that the Colorado, and from what I've seen from the Colorado, you know, fighting Colorados, they don't seem to have good armor anyway, but whatever, getting sidetracked. We do know that the Nagato is coming in at us, right? Closing the distance. We have some allies around us, and we are going to try and defend this this flank here, right? Because if we were to fail in this flank, then these enemies would just be able to push straight on through into our base, and obviously we don't want that. You can see my allied destroyer there, quick to run in and launch torpedoes at the enemy Nagato. I get a shot off myself, launch torpedoes as well, and we set the Nagato on fire. We can see the torpedoes from my allied destroyer there went in, did a bit of damage, which is fantastic because now the Nagato is sitting on about half health. You can see the Nagato has bigger things to worry about than firing at me. Instead, the player has chosen to fire at my allied destroyer, which is probably a good move for the battleship to do. Yeah, maybe. But anyway, we set another fire there to the enemy Nagato, and this one's going to stick because the Nagato used the repair to stop the flooding and fire damage that myself and the friendly destroyer had going on him. But now there's not a whole lot the player can do. We have 2 more torpedoes coming in from the allied destroyer, and it looks like one of those torpedoes is going to hit, leaving the Nagato on very low health indeed. We're now in secondary battery range as well, so that's fantastic. We'll get those secondary batteries going. We're going to launch some torpedoes off, although we really didn't need to launch those torpedoes off. The Nagato's on very low health, so it's not really going to matter, but I mean, maybe that German battleship in the background there might run into those torpedoes, so there's that possibility. So we're not out of it yet. We do still have to fight off a few enemy battleships. We see one right now that we're looking at. We see another one coming in behind, from behind that mountain there. So yeah, have our work cut out for us still. So enemy guys now here. All in all, I think the Geisnau, she's a stronger, maybe a sturdier ship than the Scharnhorst, I'd say. Just simply because the Geisnau has the harder hitting guns. So if those guns do actually manage to hit you, they will do a crap ton more damage than the Scharnhorst spread could do. But anyway, we have the Geisnau coming in pretty quickly now as well. Pretty close. Again, we have them targeted with our secondary battery, and we're going to launch off our main battery in hopes of setting the player on fire, and indeed we have set the player on fire. Fantastic. We can see that I do have an ally here pretty close behind, but it looks like I'm going to be able to avoid that player by launching my torpedoes, and indeed I do, so that's not too bad. Didn't really, well, the player probably freaked out a little, but it was good. It was good. The guys now does turn, because the guys now has some pretty decent maneuverability, turns and avoids all the torpedoes, and in fact now is launching torpedoes off at my allied battleship that's behind me. So we really need to take down this guys now, because the guys now just took down our battleship. So that's not so great. Guys now's on really, really low health. Just a few more hits. There we go. One of my allies manages to finish him off. Fantastic. Sitting on about, ooh, what is that, 60,000 damage? So that's not too bad so far for the battle. And we do still have this one last enemy player over here. It's Miyoko, not a battleship at all, but it is an enemy cruiser, Miyoko. So we are going to have to hopefully just, quickly kill this player. Looks like not in that salvo. Hopefully kill the player and then turn back towards the enemy base. Maybe even start capping the enemy base. We can see that I am coming under pretty heavy air attack here. We've got some dive bomber squadrons and some torpedo bomber squadrons coming in, and of course torpedoes are now coming in, but it looks like it's fairly decent that I'm going to be able to avoid those torpedoes. Avoid them I do, so fantastic, but we still do have to deal with this damn enemy Miyoko. Still haven't been able to kill the player. We can see the more dive bombers are on their way out, and I believe that there might be still a torpedo bomber squadron incoming as well. More torpedoes coming in now, a set of 3, so that is from the enemy Miyoko. I managed to set the enemy Miyoko on fire, so the player is slowly losing health. Does look like the player put out the fire though. A few more shots go in and still not able to finish off the Miyoko. We see the enemy torpedo bombers have launched, but again I'm able to avoid all those torpedoes, which is just great. just great, because I mean, even though the torpedoes themselves would probably do a little bit of damage, there were still quite a few of them there, right? And it all would have added up over time. Get the final shots and finally manage to take out that enemy Miyoko, so we don't have to worry about this player anymore. But we do see some enemy ships making their way towards our cap. And in fact, we have an enemy ship in our cap, in our base, starting to cap it. So we do really have to get over into our cap and start doing something about this. I'm firing at this enemy Pensacola right now. The plan was to fire at the Pensacola, kill the Pensacola, and then make the turn to starboard to go around that island so I can engage people in our cap. But instead, for whatever reason, I guess maybe a little bit of a brain fart here, I decided to turn to port. And take the long way around. Yes, torpedoes are coming in again, a set of 3, so we know that that is from the Miyoko. Last ditch stand there from the Miyoko. Oh, that was so close, so close. I was glad it didn't hit me. I mean, it still could have hit me. I would have been able to repair any flooding damage, and it would have been tragic in terms of the loss of hit points, but still, whatever. We have an enemy New York there off in the distance, so we're going to put some shots into that player and reset any of the cap points that that player may have. We see the Pensacola is now within my secondary battery range, which is fantastic. You do see that I have an allied cruiser here on the port side. Allied cruiser has launched his torpedoes, and hopefully those torpedoes are going to go in and take down this dirty Pensacola. We have shots going into the Pensacola ourselves, and of course have managed to set the player on fire, and it looks like take out the player's engines as well. Now this is, I think, the second fire that we've set to the Pensacola, and there we go. Pensacola is gone. Fantastic. But again, unfortunately, did not turn the right direction. I really should have turned starboard. The reason I should have turned starboard instead of making the port turn is, you can see right now, I'm stuck behind these islands. I'm not able to fire at any of these enemies because they're all on the other side of the island. So the starboard turn would have allowed me to be able to fire at them a lot quicker than what I'm actually doing now. But I am lucky in that, I do have allies who are resetting the cap, and this is buying me time, right? Buying me time to correct my mistake, get myself into position here where I'm actually able to start contributing. The enemies do only have 3 ships remaining, but we still need to be very careful if we want to actually pull this one off. So we do see some of the enemy battleships here as well. We're going to start engaging the first battleship we possibly can, which I believe is in New York, and just get this player burning down instantly. Now, I wasn't too afraid of the enemy battleships that were remaining. I think that they're both tier 5s, so it wasn't too big of a concern, especially with this enemy New York here, right? It managed to set the player on fire. We can see the damage is racking up, so the player is not able to put out the fire, which is great. Do need to still pay attention to the enemy incoming aircraft. I mean, these incoming aircraft aircraft could come in and torpedo me. Maybe not kill me, but definitely take out a lot of my health and allow the opportunity for the New Yorks here to potentially take me out as well. So we're going to continue to fire at this leading New York, trying to get the player down, and then once the player is down, we're going to start turning towards the other enemy battleship and trying to get that player gone as well. You can see our secondary batteries are opening up. We've got shots going in, player is gone, and we only have the one enemy battleship now over here to worry about, or at least the one that I see, right? Shots go in, set the player on fire once again, and we are going to try to close the distance with the player, because the German battleships, it's pretty constant throughout the line, that they all do excel at close-in combat. They're pretty damn decent at it. The Bismarck, right? She's amazing. The Scharnhorst here is also quite good because of the torpedo capability. The Tirpitz is the same situation, and of course the guys now as well is quite amazing. And I mean, if anyone's played the Koning at Tier 5, the Bayern, those are solid battleships as well. I could go on about the German battleships, but I won't. There we go. We get ourselves a nice Confederate medal, which is not too bad at all. Apparently, we have been dishing the damage out, to the majority of the enemy team, spreading it around a bit. Managed to get ourselves a plane kill there, which, I'll always take. One less plane for the enemy aircraft carrier to throw at us. Few more shots need to go into this enemy New York here, and then we'll have this player gone as well. We can see my secondary battery is now engaging the player, and I am considering firing torpedoes. My ally there off in the distance is well out of the torpedo range, so there's no hope, or there's no chance of those torpedoes hitting my ally. So yeah, good enough. There we go. Ally takes out the enemy battleship. Fantastic. Only one enemy ship remaining, so we're going to turn ourselves around and try to get into the enemy cap, because maybe I can help cap out that base, get myself a few extra points here. That would be fantastic. At least I would really enjoy it anyway. Extra credits too, right? Scharnhorst being premium, she does print credits like no one's business at Tier 7. It's amazing. You can see my allies did break off and are now in the enemy base, starting to cap it out. And in fact, we almost have it capped entirely. Taking one last look around here to see if I do see any other enemy ships. No. Can't find them. Oh well, I guess that one enemy player managed to get away, but we managed to get away with victory as well, so that is not too bad. So we'll take a look at the overall results here. So 404,000 credits earned. I did get the Confederate, 101,000 damage dealt, which isn't too bad at all. Overall, I did finish top of the team, which is always great. Yeah, as long as I'm in the top 3, generally that's good enough. And we can see, yeah, the Confederate, I did spread out the damage amongst a pretty good number of the enemy ships there. When all said and done, 349,000 credits is what I end up walking away with. And to be honest, when I'm playing my premiums, it's really the credit amount that I'm looking for. Unless I'm grinding the captain, I'm just looking to get some credits. Anyway, that is today's video. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. I haven't gotten any super crates as of yet. Not that I'm aware of anyway. I don't think I have. But I'd be interested to know if any of you have gotten any super crates. I know a few people in the clan have. One has gotten a port slot. Some have gotten 5 million credits. 250 flags, that sort of thing. So let me know in the video comment section below. So as always, folks, hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you are not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.